Hey guys, welcome back. And today we are going to be doing my weekly mock draft. I want to say we're 7 weeks through the NFL season. We're getting close to halfway done, which is a bit bittersweet, but more on the sweet side because that just means more draft content, more mock drafts, more player rankings, all that fun stuff. But today we're going to be doing a bit of a different mock draft. We're not going to necessarily be going with the current draft order. We're going to be doing trades. I hinted at it a little bit last week, and I think that's the direction we're going to end up taking it this week. I just think it's going to spice things up a little bit more. We're going to get to talk about some new opportunities, possibilities, and I'm really excited about it. So if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. This isn't going to have a lot of trades in there. There's just a couple that I want to make down the board, and it does start with the number 1 overall pick. We're going to jump right into it. The New England Patriots are at 1. And I love Travis Hunter. I think he's the best player in this draft class. But you just know somebody's going to come calling up for a quarterback, whether that be Cleveland at 3, Tennessee at 4, or at number 8. I think that's the most intriguing team right now in the Las Vegas Raiders. Vegas has kind of been throwing a dart at a dartboard, hoping one of these hits. And nothing has really worked yet at the quarterback position. Aiden O'Connell's out. Gardner Minshew's not the answer. Derek Carr wasn't the answer. This team does have a big hole at quarterback, and I talked about it last week. But now with Tom Brady coming in to be a partial ownership of the Raiders, he is going to have some say over who the Raiders do decide to take. I do think that makes this a very real possibility that Shedeur Sanders to Vegas is in play. The reason I say that is because Shedeur Sanders and Tom Brady have a long-going relationship. Shedeur Sanders calls Tom Brady a mentor. So why not draft the guy that you're a big fan of, you know the kid, and that's what I'm going to have do. I have Vegas trading up from number 8 to number 1. It's obviously going to involve a second. It's going to involve next year's first and a future pick as well. But we are going to have New England move back 7 spots. I think this is a perfect situation for New England. They get more draft capital, and Vegas gets to take their quarterback of the future in Shedeur Sanders with the number 1 overall pick. And number 2, we got the Carolina Panthers. Do not own their second-round pick this year. That belongs to the Chicago Bears. I believe they do have another high second somewhere. But this team has holes on every single spot on the roster. You could talk yourself into one of these quarterbacks, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe. Beck is starting to fall out of first-round considerations. I think Garrett Nussmeier and Drew Aller have first-round potential as well. You could talk yourself into that. You could talk yourself into one of the edge rushers. James Pierce, still my number 1. Abdul Carter's right there. Scorton. There's some really interesting pieces that you could talk about down the board here as well. I am probably going to just take best player available here because I think you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. We're going to take Travis Hunter. We're going to have Colorado players go 1 and 2. Carolina needs a corner. They need a receiver. Travis Hunter is going to give you flexibility to play everywhere. You can take a flyer on one of these quarterbacks later. I just don't think the first round's where I want to take a quarterback in this class if I'm Carolina, given the talent of Travis Hunter and the state of my roster right now. At number 3, the Cleveland Browns are in a very different situation from the Carolina Panthers because I think this roster is talented. I think they've got the pieces to contend. They just need the quarterback to do it, and I think that's going to be Cam Ward. We've done this the last few weeks, and I just think it makes a lot of sense for them. You need an accurate quarterback that's going to make good decisions for you, calm under pressure. Cam Ward has a lot of the tools that you look for in a franchise quarterback. So I'm going to take him at number 3 to the Cleveland Browns. At number 4, we got the Tennessee Titans. I've gone quarterback every week for this team, and I still do kind of see it as a need. I just worry here when you kind of look at the rest of this board. I like Milroe. I like Beck. I'm kind of out on Quinn Ewers after this past weekend. Who would consider maybe jumping up? Maybe you could get a team like Arizona that wants to come up and take their edge rusher. I could see that one being in play. Maybe a team like the Chargers, the Bucks, someone like that comes up for an edge rusher, but this just isn't really a class where I think you're going to see a lot of trades, unfortunately. So I think Tennessee's going to be stuck. Their offensive line is still a complete disaster. And I'm going to take Will Campbell, who is my top tackle in this draft class. He gives you some really solid play at the left tackle position. You took Peter Skoronski 2 years ago. You took J.C. Latham last year. Now you get Will Campbell. You've got your left tackle, left guard, and right tackle of the future. I think that's a really good group. Will Campbell does an excellent job of countering pass rushers' hands. He's not necessarily the most athletic guy in the world. Some people question the arm length. I'm not really worried about it with him. I think he's a very fundamentally sound tackle prospect. I'm going to take him at number 4. At number 5, we do have the New York Jets. Their run defense has been putrid this year. They cannot stop the run. You could talk yourself into a number of different positions, but for the second straight week, I've got to go with Mason Graham. The interior of this defensive line just struggling, unlike anything we've seen from them. I think Will Johnson could be in play given the DJ Reed pending free agency, but I do think ultimately I am going to take the just the high upside interior guy. You pair him alongside Quinnen Williams. I think you've got one of the best interior pass rush duos in all of football. Mason Graham can rush the passer at an extremely high level, but he's also a very good run defender on top of it. So really like what he can bring to the table for the Jets. I'm going to take him at number 5. At number 6, we got the New Orleans Saints. Bit of a tough situation for them as well, because I just don't really think this is a spot where I love a lot of the talent. I think this team's got to go with the defensive player, whether it be an edge rusher or an interior guy. But you look at this class and it's like, do you feel comfortable moving back? It's such a deep group. I think I do. I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins here to potentially jump up just 4 or 5 spots here with the Saints. This team's offensive line, they had a good game against the Colts, but it's pretty clear there's an offensive line that just lacks a lot of skill. I think they could get away with giving 2 third-round picks this year and maybe a second next year. We're not going to worry too much about compensation here. Something like this, we'll just say that one goes through. The Dolphins are going to jump up and take Kelvin Banks, who's been one of the most sound tackles in all of college football. You even look at the game against Georgia. Yeah, Georgia was getting a ton of pressure in this one, but Kelvin Banks was pretty good. I think he only allowed 2 pressures in this game. Really good tackle, good athleticism. He's got the quickness to play in space, which is what this Dolphins team looks for in their tackles. I think he's perfect. I think you want to jump a team like the Giants, the Jags, and the Patriots, all of which are going to be in the tackle market. I think you move a couple of picks to go get a day 1 starter on the offensive line, similar to kind of what we saw the Cardinals do a couple years back with Paris Johnson. At number 7, the Jacksonville Jaguars take, who is one of my favorite players in this class, Will Johnson. He's got an ankle injury. Think he might end up sitting out the rest of the year. There's nothing to play for. This Michigan team sucks. Will Johnson is a really, really good player, though. The size, the athleticism, the quickness with his hips, but his IQ and zone coverage, his reaction time, it's some of the best I've ever seen. This is a Jags team that does need some serious help in the secondary. Tyson Campbell was back. You beat up against a bad Patriots team, I should say. I'm not really moved by this secondary in Jacksonville. They've had a lot of pains this season, so I'm going to go take a player that I think is going to be a long-term starter and a top 10 player at his position right away. At number 8, the New England Patriots. You have injuries everywhere. You look at this team, and you've got injuries on the defensive line. I think offensive line has to be in consideration here. Emory Jones, it's just too high for me. Ariante Ursary, I like him quite a bit. Again, too high for me. I mean, I'm considering Ashton Genty here. I'm not even going to lie, considering they're getting absolutely nothing from their run game this year. I don't think Ashton Genty would be a bad pick to the Patriots, but given the rest of their needs, their lack of a true number 1, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get Drake May, his number 1 weapon. We're going to push the offensive line back a little bit because I don't think Cameron Williams is going to go this high. Josh Simmons is out for the season. I like Wyatt Millum a lot more than the consensus. Trying to see if there's anybody else here down the board that I'm missing. But yeah, there's just not a ton of like elite guys in the offensive line in this group. So we're going to take Tetairoa McMillan, having a really good season at Arizona, a team that unfortunately has been pretty underwhelming for the most part. But McMillan has what you look for. He's 6'5", he's 205 pounds, he's got size, speed. Might not be the greatest route runner in the world, but this team needs a guy where Drake May can just be like, you know what? He's down there somewhere. He's going to bail me out in these situations. I think that's what you want right now. And I think Tetairoa McMillan's a really, really good player that fits what New England wants to do on the offensive side of the ball. And then we got the Giants, similar to kind of what the Saints did. I do think they are in a quarterback situation. Daniel Jones hasn't played well, but I think you look at this, and a team like the Chargers, I think, has to be calling the Giants up. You're looking at teams that could go receiver here. The Bengals, the Rams, the Saints, all could be in the receiving market. And when you look at this Chargers team, this receiving core is really bad. It's only 6 spots. I think the Giants would be willing to move down because there's not really a big quarterback needy team here. I think number 79 and a future 3 probably get this deal done for the Chargers. They move up to number 9 and take a very similar player to Malik Neighbors, who a lot of Chargers fans wanted last year, and Luther Burden. He's not having the most amazing season in the world, trying to come back from what he did last year, but I still think he's putting up good numbers. He still has electric speed. If you get him the ball in the open field, he can go 0 to 100 really quickly. And that's what this Chargers team needs. They need a reliable weapon because I don't think you have the number 1 guy. You don't have the guy that can take the top off the defense. Quentin Johnston can do it at times. Luther Burden has better hands. He's a better route runner. And I think he's the overall better player. I think him and Tetairoa McMillan are like 1A, 1B receivers in this class. I think a lot of people are starting to sleep on Luther Burden, and I'm going to take him here at number 9. At number 10, the New Orleans Saints trade back. All the edge rushers are on the board. We are going to go with the guy who I think is still the top edge rusher in the class in James Pierce Jr. This is a team that doesn't really have a lot of speed off the edge. Chase Young, Carl Granderson, and Cam Jordan. It's a lot of power off the edge. You need some speed. And James Pierce, SEC plays kicked off. He had 2 sacks against Alabama. He's been playing really, really good football. The athleticism is undeniable. I know people love Abdul Carter, and the ceiling is high. But James Pierce has put up production back-to-back seasons. He's got a 23.2% pressure rate, which leads the SEC, by the way. He's a really, really good player. I think he's going to be an awesome player for a long time, and I'm going to take him here at number 10 to the New Orleans Saints. At number 11, we do have the Los Angeles Rams. Tough situation for the Rams to be in. Genuinely, this could change next week if they do decide to trade Cooper Kupp. For whatever reason, there's Matthew Stafford trade rumors out there. I don't buy those one bit, but they are out there. Really interesting here, though. If you are the Rams, where do you go? This is another situation where I would kind of consider a trade back, just given I think receiver, corner, and offensive tackle are your 3 biggest needs. I think it might be a bit rich for all of those. If you see one of these edge-needy teams, like the Eagles, like the Seahawks, like the Falcons even. I think the Falcons would consider moving up here if they could get one of these top guys. I just think the price is going to be a bit too steep. So we're going to have the Rams stay put. And we are going to take a secondary piece, but we're going to go safety here. I am going to take Malachi Starks. I think he's the best safety in this draft class and maybe the best safety in the last 3 to 4 draft classes. I have a higher grade on him than I did Kyle Hamilton, and another just incredible game for him against Texas. What can't he do on the defensive side of the football? He can play on the line of scrimmage, and he's very impactful there. He can play in the box. He can play single high. He's got speed. He's a very good tackler. I mean, so much to love about what Malachi Starks can do. It's really just a BPA, best player available. They do have needs in the secondary. I think he can play in the slot for you. We are going to take Malachi Starks to the Los Angeles Rams. At number 12, the Cincinnati Bengals. I do think this has to be an edge rusher. Kind of pick your poison with some of these guys. Abdul Carter putting up incredible numbers. Nick Scorton, Michael Williams. I like all these guys. I think I'm going to go with Abdul Carter, though. I like the athleticism. I think the upside with him is just through the roof. He's only played edge for 1 year. I know we're going to talk about this a lot, but only played edge for 1 season, and I think he's put up very impactful numbers. I love his fit with the Cincinnati defense, the way that he complements Trey Hendrickson. I think it's a match made in heaven. I'm going to take Abdul Carter at number 12. At number 13, the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's got to be an edge rusher. Again, you took Darius Robinson last year, but I'm actually not going to go with an edge rusher. We're going to take a quote-unquote linebacker, and it's going to be Jalen Walker out of Georgia, coming off one of his best games of his collegiate career against Texas. The athleticism is scary. It's undeniable. While I do have concerns about what he's going to be able to do one-on-one on the edge, as a stand-up rusher, similarly to how Jonathan Gannon used Hassan Reddick, I think Jalen Walker can be used in a very similar role. I think he's has some shades of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah as a blitzer. He's not the greatest in coverage, but the quickness, the athleticism, it's all there for him. I think he's going to be an incredible piece to a defense. He was a big riser for me this weekend. I think he cracks the top 15 in today's mock. Number 14, the San Francisco 49ers. Really like the idea of continuing to beef up the edge department. Michael Williams, the athleticism is worth taking a shot on here. 6'5", 265. The arm length is absolutely absurd. You've got to take a chance here. He gives you some really good athleticism, can rush with power, does show you some speed every now and then, but I think he's got the potential to be a good edge rusher. It's a bit of a project, but I think the Niners can afford to wait a little bit, kind of let him develop. I think he's a great fit here. We're going to take him at number 14. At number 15, the New York Giants sitting on the clock. It's going to be Jalen Milroe. They trade back 6 spots. They get Milroe. Milroe has not had a very good last few weeks. A lot of inconsistencies, a lot of up and downs in his game, but the upside's there. The arm talent, the athleticism, the decision-making, while it's gotten better, stuff that you feel good about. And given the success that Brian Daboll had with Josh Allen, if he is still the head coach for the Giants next season, I think Milroe is going to be the guy that he wants if the Giants have the number 1 overall pick. So we're going to take Jalen Milroe here to be the long-term hopeful quarterback for the New York Giants. Number 16, we got the Dallas Cowboys. Bunch of different ways that they could go. Wide receiver, running back, the 2 positions. I've gone Ashton Genty the last few weeks. I do think I'm going to go Isaiah Bond this week. They need speed in this receiving room. He does remind me a little bit of CeeDee Lamb in a weird way, but I think CeeDee Lamb's obviously the better player. You need a home run hitter in this offense. I just feel that that's been an area that's been kind of lacking for this team. Jalen Tolbert feels like he's your possession guy. Who can you put in the slot, even though CeeDee Lamb can kind of play a little bit in the slot there? I think this is a really good situation right now for Isaiah Bond to go into and make an impact. So we are going to take him at number 16. Number 17, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think it's got to be an edge rusher, but tight end is very intriguing. This might be a trade back. If I'm a team that is kind of looking for a piece on my team, I might look to move up a little bit here. I do like the idea. I'm going to have the Bears move up from number 23 to number 17. The Bears have 2 second-round picks that they could offer. I don't think they're going to have to offer either of them. I think you can give up number 87 and 23 to get up to 17, and we'll throw in 202 as well. The Bears move up to kind of take one of these offensive linemen. It's going to be Emory Jones. I've talked about Emory Jones a little bit for the Bears, but I just love his versatility. I think he could play right tackle for you. He could play right guard, which is where I'm going to have him projected to play for this Bears team. I think this is a team that really needs to look to address the offensive line on the interior. The edge rushers are good. It's a really loaded edge class. Going to take a flyer here. Wait on the edge department. You've got 2 second-round picks. Izuraku, Kyle Kennard could be there. I'm going to take Emory Jones here at 17 and have the Bears move up. At number 18, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. Another situation where I do think this could be a trade back spot potentially, but I like the talent of Nick Scorton kind of staring you in the face. So we are going to take him here at number 18. The power, the youth, he's 6'6", 280. I mean, the guy's got really good athleticism, can drop back into coverage. He's been very productive for Texas A&M. I think he's a great fit for what the Eagles want to do. He's a really good Brandon Graham replacement. Kind of fits that mold of the Brandon Graham type of edge rushers. I'm a huge fan of Nick Scorton. I've got him going 18 to the Eagles. At number 19, we have the Seattle Seahawks. A few different ways that you could talk yourselves into this, but I do ultimately think you come back to the offensive line, and it's got to be Ariante Ursary. It's kind of a blessing that he's still on the board. He's been very productive. He's had a lot of success as a run blocker, but as a pass blocker, he might be even better. You're probably picking him to move over to the right tackle spot for you to be that replacement for Abraham Lucas or whoever you have starting there. I like Ariante Ursary. I think he's a good player. I think he fits what this team wants to do. We're going to take him here at number 19 to be the long-term other side of the offensive line opposite of Charles Cross. At number 20, we have my Indianapolis Colts. I'm just peeking to see if there's a team that might want to make a move here to try and take one of these falling quarterbacks, maybe one of these running backs in Ashton Genty. I just don't really see it. This Colts team has three needs: cornerback, tight end, defensive line. Corner, you've got Ben Morrison, you've got Savon Ravel. Both of these guys I'm fans of. I think Colts fans would be really upset if you didn't take Benjamin Morrison. On the interior defensive line, the way that you've just not been able to stop the run this year, it's troubling, to say the least. You've got to stop the run, and they've not been able to do so. So maybe you go and get a Kenneth Grant, or you get a Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, somebody that can stop the run for you. Tight end as well, I think, could also be a need for you. Tyler Warren's putting up incredible numbers for Penn State. He can block. He's kind of that safety valve in the middle. Man, this is a tough pick if I'm a Colts fan, which I am. I like Nick Emanwari quite a bit too. I think he's a good fit. But we are going to ultimately go Savon Ravel. I think he's better than Benjamin Morrison. That's just what it comes down to. It's no knock on Benjamin Morrison, but the size, the ball skills, they favor Ravel for me. Yes, he's coming off an injury. That's painful, but so is Benjamin Morrison. So I'm a huge fan of Ravel, and he's going to be my pick at number 20 for the Colts. At number 21, Ashton Genty to the Broncos. I know Javonte Williams is coming off an incredible performance. He's not Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty is going to be a first-round pick this year. And if he doesn't get taken here, I struggle to find another landing spot for him. Consider the Giants, consider the Cowboys, but I think he falls to the Broncos at 21. And they get a powerful runner who can break through every tackle. And I think that's going to allow Sean Payton to run his offense the way that he actually wants to run this offense, with the play action, implementing the run, and kind of keeping that balance, which they haven't really been able to do. So Ashton Genty, I think, is a perfect fit for this Broncos team. And he goes from the Boise State Broncos to the Denver Broncos. At number 22, the Atlanta Falcons on the clock here. It's got to be an edge rusher. It has to be. I don't see how you could be anywhere else. It's Princely Umanmielen. I don't even think any other players in consideration. Fits the defensive scheme perfectly with his size, length, athleticism. Really good run defender. He shows pass rush moves consistently. He knows how to win. He knows how to win with leverage and power. Atlanta's pass rush has 38 total pressures this year. 38 total pressures. Aiden Hutchinson had 45 before he got hurt. Princely Umanmielen's got to be the pick. They have to upgrade this pass rush, because if they don't, it's going to cost them seriously in the playoffs. At number 23, Tampa trades back. They're in a really good spot. And I am going to go with the tight end. I haven't really felt good about Cade Otton all season long. Now with Chris Godwin going down, Mike Evans going down, you're starting to feel the lack of winners on this team. I like Colston Loveland a little bit better for this modern style offense that they run. But yeah, I think Tyler Warren might end up being the first tight end off the board, despite me thinking Loveland is better because of his athleticism, the youth. Warren's been a really good player. You look at what he did last year. He was kind of a blocking tight end that they used every now and then in receiving opportunities. This year, he's become one of the best receiving tight ends in the country, ties the FBS record for receptions in a game. He's got some juice. He's got some stuff that you feel really, really good about. And I think he's a good fit. I think he's got a real chance to be taken inside the first round. We're going to take him at number 23 to Tampa to be hopefully their long-term tight end of the future. At number 24, we got the Baltimore Ravens, a team that doesn't have many holes, but I think Tyler Booker kind of fills one of their quiet needs. The offensive line has been good this year. Don't get me wrong. I just don't feel great about Daniel Faalele long-term at the right guard spot. So give me Tyler Booker, who I think is one of the best guard prospects in this draft, and he might have been a top guard for me in last year's class. He's 6'5", 320, has experience playing the tackle position as well. He's athletic. He's nasty as a run blocker as well. There's a lot to really, really like about Tyler Booker, and I'm going to take him at number 24 to the Baltimore Ravens. At number 25, we got the Buffalo Bills. I took an interior defensive lineman last week for them. Given the way the board has kind of fallen for them, I kind of like Benjamin Morrison as a potential fit for this defense. You don't really have a true burner on the boundary at the cornerback position, a guy that you can trust to consistently win one-on-ones. You love Christian Benford in the slot, one of the best slot guys in this draft. Benjamin Morrison's a really, really good athlete. He's got size. He does bite a little bit too much to my liking, but I think he's a really good fit here. We're going to take him at number 25. And then at number 26, we're going to have another corner come off the board here. It is going to be Jahdae Barron out of Texas. Coming off an incredible game with 2 interceptions. The guy can play everywhere in the defensive backfield. The slot, the boundary, safety. He's really played all of it in his collegiate career, and he's been impactful everywhere. He's one of the best all-around defensive backs in this draft class. He's been very good for Texas on the boundary this year. Like I said, 2 interceptions this past week against Georgia. There's a lot to like about what Jahdae Barron can bring to the table. I'm going to have him going at number 26. At number 27, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Couple of ways we could go here. I do think receiver is ultimately where I'd like to land. Corner could be in play here as well. We'll talk about this. Takario Davis, I do like the upside. He gives you some size. We went Takario Davis for them last week. We're going to come back to the receiving route. Who do I like here? I just finally watched Ty Felton. I think he's too low on here. I think he's really good. Kobe Hudson is a my guy. Jalen Royals is a my guy. Caden Prather has been a my guy since last year. Ask the mock draft guy. Man, I'm probably going to land Emeka Egbuka. I don't think he's got the higher ceiling of any of these guys, but the floor, what he brings you, the way that he complements this skill set, it's hard to really not go that direction. So not going to overthink it. Emeka Egbuka is pretty perfect for this team as that number 2 option. We're going to take him at number 27. At number 28, the Green Bay Packers are just thrilled that Kenneth Grant is still on the board. His ability to stuff the run is up there as some of the best in the draft class. That's what this team is looking for. They're looking for another run stuffer. Kenny Clark has not had the greatest season in the world. You need your long-term replacement for him. I think Kenneth Grant gives you tremendous upside there. At number 29, the Texans are also feeling really good about the way this board has fallen because they're also going to get a really good interior guy. It kind of depends on what you want. Do you want the smaller, more athletic guy, or do you want the less athletic, more productive Derek Harmon? Given the way DeMeco Ryans runs his defense, we're going to take Walter Nolan. Got a prospect spotlight coming on him later this week, but he's got all the traits, all the athleticism, is a versatile piece that can play a bit of everywhere on your defensive line. I'm not going to overthink it. I think Walter Nolan's a really good player. We'll take him here at number 29. We're just going to see a run on an interior defensive lineman here because I do think Deion Walker is the next pick for me. I still have all those guys ahead of Derek Harmon. I might have Harmon ahead of Nolan, but Deion Walker's still a freak. 6'6", 350 pounds. He could probably play 3-tech at the next level, though. They don't really have an interior rusher that you trust to consistently win. Yeah, cornerback could be a need. You could go to Cario Davis. I would love that for them, but I think Deion Walker makes the most sense here for the Vikings. At number 31, we've got the Detroit Lions. A couple of ways that you could talk yourselves into: edge, receiver, defensive line as well. Ali McNeil, DJ Reader. I'm going to pass on the interior of the defensive line. We are going to take an edge rusher, and it's going to be Donovan Ruaku. I'll get that name down, but I've just been so impressed with what he's been able to do as a pass rusher, as a run defender. He's athletic. I believe he's 6'2", 247. He's got size, athleticism, wins with bend. He's going to be a really good player at the next level. I've got a video coming out on him this weekend as well, so stay tuned for that. And then at number 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the Derek Harmon pick. I do think this one makes a lot of sense. You need a long-term Chris Jones kind of sidekick, I guess. And I do think Derek Harmon kind of brings that to you. So we didn't have a ton of trades in this one. You saw Miami, Vegas, LA, Chicago move up. But I think all the trades we did made sense. Really happy with how this mock turned out. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Did you like the decisions I made? Did you not? Let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite picks were. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.